Hello, RHO members. Welcome to the 100th annual meeting of the RHO Society. I am Lucio Volino, the National President of the Society. All attendees are in listen mode only, so your microphone and video are muted. Please use the chat box to comment or ask questions during the presentations. This meeting is being recorded. You may download today's agenda and committee reports from our website, rhochi.org, by clicking on the Meetings tab. Please visit our website for announcements, newsletters, instructions, and event information. We will hold another Town Hall virtual event this fall. More information to come. I now call the meeting to order at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The 2024 House of Delegates of the RHO Society is now in session. Welcome to all our chapter delegates, RHO members, alumni, faculty advisors, and guests joining us virtually for our 100th Annual National Convention of the RHO Society. This past year served as the foundation for another 100 years of RHO excellence, advancements, and achievements. The most significant and immediate step in that process involved reviewing the Society's mission and goals to develop a new strategic plan for 2024. I would like to thank Dr. David Zagaric for his leadership and guidance in helping the Executive Council evaluate its priorities and transition core goals as we develop the new plan. The Executive Council met at the AACP meeting in July 2023 and participated in an engaging and comprehensive discussion to plan for the future. We established a framework for developing a draft plan, which is being led by the National Office under the wisdom and guidance of Executive Vice President Karen Ferris. I am confident that we will develop a robust plan that meets the needs of the Society and supports members, advances the profession, engages alumni, and develops new opportunities to recognize and promote achievements in critical inquiry. RHO is an active and dynamic society with a rich history and commitment to advancing the profession by encouraging intellectual excellence and developing future intellectual leaders. Even with 100 years of success, we continue to adapt, evolve, and grow. This past year, we evaluated the potential role of student involvement at the national level through the efforts of the Student Executive Council Task Force and charged the Alumni Task Force to identify methods for engaging alumni and evaluating the need for an alumni committee. In addition, a new task force was launched at the end of 2023 to identify methods for recognizing RHO members. The Membership Recognition Task Force, led by Dr. Tom Franco, is expected to complete most of its work in 2024. I look forward to learning more about their assessments and recommendations for the Society. Another accomplishment that has expanded the reach and impact of the Society is our valuable Town Hall initiative, which was started during Emanuel Schwartzman's tenure as president and is still under her leadership. This year's program focused on success in applying for residency and fellowship training. RHO alumni representing residencies, pharmaceutical industry fellowships, and research fellowships shared their experiences, wisdom, and insight to help members apply to, secure, and succeed in these postgraduate areas. Based on the tremendous success of this year's Town Hall, this topic will be a core program for years to come. As we look to the future, I would like to echo my thoughts from last year regarding clear and consistent communication with our members and across our institutions. The newly formed Communications Committee was busy this past year establishing a framework for collecting and disseminating information to and from members and the profession. This will allow us to share best practices, collaborate, and foster innovative ways to approach and address the ever-changing landscape of pharmacy education, practice, and research. Thank you to the Communications Committee for their hard work in serving as a conduit for the Society. I am confident that their efforts will strengthen our position as an organization and expand our social media presence. This is just a brief overview of the impactful programming and engagement offered by the Society this past year. For a complete summary of the Society's achievements, please refer to my report of the National President. I would like to take a moment to say thank you to our leadership team and to you, the student members, faculty advisors, and alumni. You are the heart of RHO. Your dedication, contributions, and passion drive this Society forward. I would also like to extend a special and sincere thank you to Dr. Karen Ferris for her guidance and support. RHO would not be in such a grounded yet innovative, forward-thinking, and adaptive society without her vision and commitment. She continues to be a champion and a pioneer for the society and the profession. Finally, thank you to Ms. Julie Seeger, who is the behind-the-scene magician of the society. She ensures that everything falls into place so the rest of us look good. I appreciate you always bringing joy and a smile to the society. The past 2 years as president have been a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I will never forget. I hope that my time in office has left a positive impact on you and the society. I'm excited to see what 2024 will bring as I pass the baton to Dr. Andy Smith. We are in excellent hands under his leadership for the next 2 years. As I wrap up my report in presidency, I will leave you as I have many times before and encourage you to think critically, lead through example, and collaborate with others to advance the profession of RHO. Remember, you are RHO for life. Thank you. I would now like to call for the report of the Auditing Committee.
Thank you, President Bellino. My name is Sue Skladar, and I'm Chair of the Auditing Committee of the RHO Society. I'm from the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy. I would like to take a moment to thank my committee members, John Bentley from Ole Miss and Jeffrey Shear from the University of Houston, as we collaborated on this report. We were charged to review the 2023 financial records of the Society. Julie Seeger, Program Manager, provided the Society's financial records to the committee members. Overall, the committee finds all financial records to be in good order and did not note any discrepancies on the Treasurer's report. However, we would like to make the following suggestions. The Treasurer is noting, and they are correct, that the Society continues to experience a reduction in expenses due to holding the National Convention virtually, rather than at the APHA annual meeting and exposition. However, in the 2024 budget forecast, it is noted that the Society plans to host, along with Phi Lambda Sigma, a reception dinner at APHA in 2024 and is budgeting $15,000 for that event. Even though this is a budgeted item for 2024 and the expense did not occur in 2023 calendar year, it may be worthwhile to note this in the Treasurer's report. From the statements provided, the end of the year market value of the Midwest Trust short-term and long-term investment accounts are properly recorded and there are no discrepancies. The draft 2023 Treasurer's report notes that long-term and short-term assets increased in market value by $74,703.85 in 2023. This number represents the changes in market value for these two accounts noted in the two end-of-year statements, but because of dividends, fees, and realized losses, when one compares the beginning calendar year 2023, that's January 1st, market values with the ending calendar year 2023 as of December 31st, 2023, market values for these two accounts, the two accounts actually experienced an increase in total market value of $76,589 rather than the $74,703 in calendar year 2023. Additionally, income from RHO merchandise royalties totaled $19,000 in calendar year 2023, which is slightly less than the $20,000 from calendar year 2022. However, income from national dues significantly decreased by over $30,000 in calendar year 2023 compared to calendar year 2022. This is directly related to national declining trends in pharmacy school enrollments, meaning less inductees, and therefore less income from jewelry and certificates also associated with new membership. So in total, there was a 14.6% decrease in income related to new members from calendar year 22 to calendar year 2023. Revenue continues to be compromised because of new member contributions. National dues, jewelry certificates, and royalties are properly accounted for. Operating income exceeded annual expenses by $31,799.99 in calendar year 2023, which is a 41.8% reduction in net revenue from calendar year 2022. As noted above, declining enrollments are a major factor in this decline. That being said, though, the Society's finances, especially considering funds in the operating accounts at the Bank of Ann Arbor and the investment accounts at Midwest Trust, do continue to support a solid foundation for the future. On behalf of our committee's members, we thank you for the opportunity to serve RHO in this capacity.
Thank you, Dr. Skladar, for your report. I would like to invite Brad Boucher to give the report of the National Treasurer.
Greetings. My name is Brad Boucher, and I have the privilege of presently serving as the National Treasurer of the RHO Honor Society. In this capacity, I'm pleased to report that in 2023, we had another very stable year financially for the RHO Society. More specifically, we had revenues exceeding expenses by just under $32,000, essentially a balanced budget for the most part. The major reason for this is that we've been able to maintain a favorable picture as far as our revenues over expenses relates to the fact that RHO Society for the last 4 years and for the foreseeable future has conducted its annual meeting virtually. Historically, the RHO Society held its event live in conjunction with the APHA annual meeting and exposition. This is a very costly event. So it's very favorable for us to, financially speaking, to conduct the meeting virtually in terms of maintaining a goal of maintaining a balanced budget. I'm also pleased to report in 2023, we enjoyed our second successful year with a financial firm known as Midwest Trust Company. This financial firm basically oversees our long-term and our short-term investments for the society. It also makes sure we're in compliance with the investment policy that we crafted in recent years. As of the end of 2023, our short-term investment portfolio basically showed assets that was just in excess of $71,000, and our long-term investment fund assets value was over $600,000. Importantly, under the management of Midwest Trust Company, we saw an increase in the market value for these two funds that was just under $75,000 in 2023 that I think is a very noteworthy number. So this concludes in essence, my formal reports as the RHO Society's treasurer for 2023. 2024 also marks the end of my 3-year term as the RHO treasurer. So I'd ask you to indulge me for just a few minutes. Basically, my tenure and leadership role with the RHO Society goes all the way back to 2011 when I first came on as a regional counselor. I'd like to talk about some highlights that I've observed in the society over the last 13 years. The first is the relocation of our national office. For those of you who know the RHO Society history, you know that we were at the University of North Carolina, where we had our Executive Vice President Wayne Pittman overseeing the society, and with the help of his very worthy assistant, Miss Gail Moriarty. Dr. Pittman decided it was time to retire, and so we needed to begin the process of relocating. We did so to the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and then subsequently to our present location at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Noteworthy is that the University of Michigan is actually where RHO began over 100 years ago. In parallel with the relocation, we had the recruitment of 2 executive vice presidents during this time, the first being Dr. Michael Wincourt, the University of Southern California. And basically, Dr. Wincourt passed unexpectedly while serving as our executive vice president, and we subsequently were able to recruit Dr. Karen Ferris at the University of Michigan. Dr. Ferris has done a truly outstanding job as our executive vice president during her tenure as our executive VP. In 2022, many of us what we call a very spectacular event. That is to say, RHO had its centennial celebration at the APHA meeting, our 100th anniversary celebration, and it was just a truly very special event for all of those in attendance. During my time in the RHO leadership, I've seen the crafting and execution of 2 5-year strategic plans. And I'm also pleased to report that a new 5-year strategic plan is nearly completed and will be put in motion in 2024. During my time as the RHO Society's treasurer, I'm pleased to say that we were able to have some noteworthy financial events. One of which I've already mentioned was the creation of an investment policy. So the first time that I'm aware of this being in place for the society during its history. And then on top of that, we were able to, as I already mentioned, recruit Midwest Trust Company, who's done an outstanding job managing our investments. Growth of these investments will assure financial security for the society, not only in the present and future, but also allow us to utilize those assets for new initiatives in the near term. And I would be remiss, again, my journey has spanned 13 years working with dozens of leaders within the RHO Honor Society. These are truly gifted, talented, committed individuals to the society that I've had an opportunity to work alongside with. I will be forever grateful for the many friendships that have been established during this time, and for the incredible support that I received during my time as a leader within the RHO Society. Thank you for giving me a few minutes to highlight what has been a wonderful journey over the last 13 years. It has been truly an honor and a privilege to serve the society during this period of time.
Thank you, Dr. Boucher. I would like to invite Karen Ferris, RHO Executive Vice President, to give the report of the National Office.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Ferris. I'm the Executive Vice President of the RHO Society. I have submitted the National Office report, and that is in your meeting materials. Here, I will provide a brief overview of the information in that report. First, we have 137 active chapters in the Society. Second, I want to reiterate, because I'm sure that you already know, that Julie Seeger is the individual who manages the day-to-day operations of the Society, and she is most likely your first point of contact in the National Office. I am also here in the National Office and am able and certainly willing to talk with you and help with any issues that you may be having in your chapter. We also have Brian Vanderzeel, who is an employee here in the College of Pharmacy at the University of Michigan, and he helps us with our IT support as well as our website. So those are the staff in the National Office. So this year, as you know, Julie has supported the chapters to do their initiations, to ensure that the chapter reports come in, and she has also facilitated the evaluation of the chapter reports so that we can provide the awards to our chapters. She also supports the committees of the organization. This past year, we've spent quite a bit of time on strategic planning. We met last summer at the AACP meeting to draft a plan, and we will be approving that plan in early April. And we are very excited about some of the new and exciting activities that you're going to be seeing from the Society. I am also very happy to report that the national officers agreed to keep the national office at the University of Michigan for the next 5 years, and that I will be able to continue to be your executive vice president for the Society. I'm very excited and honestly quite honored to hold this role and to support all of us to move our society forward. I also briefly want to comment on the financial viability of the Society. You have seen Dr. Brad Boucher's National Treasury report, as well as the Auditing Committee's report. So you are aware that the Society is in positive financial shape. I also want to comment and link back to our strategic plan that we will be using social media to a greater extent as we move forward. We know that this is an important and critical way to maintain contact with you now as students, but importantly, as you transition to be pharmacists and alumni members, if you please, we want to stay in touch with you so that you can continue to support our new members in the Society. And I just want to also reiterate that we continue to support our national convention being held virtually. We know that we miss the in-person perspective of meeting and networking. However, the cost for making each chapter attend the meeting is averted when we have our national convention virtually. So we will continue to do that because we think it is positive for each of our chapters across the country. Now, that said, this year we are excited to collaborate with Phi Lambda Sigma to host a networking reception at the upcoming American Pharmacists Association meeting. And that reception will be held on March 24 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Cuba Libre restaurant, which is right near the convention center. So I look forward, and some of our officers will also be present. So we look forward to connecting with those of you who come to the American Pharmacists Association meeting in the next few weeks. And I just want to end to say thank you for all the work that you do. Whenever you are communicating about RHO, particularly on social media, be sure and use hashtag RHO for life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. Now the report of the Scholarship Fellowship Committee.
My name is Nathan Charrington at the University of Arizona, and I'm the chair of the committee. Dean Dana Strahan of Palm Beach Atlantic University and Amanda Stolars of the University of Arkansas also serve on this committee. Ellen Woods, the AFPE president, is ex officio. Our charges were to promote the availability of the RHO scholarships and fellowships, review applications, and determine recipients. The number and amount of those are set by Executive Council. The Scholarships and Fellowship Committee reviewed application submissions throughout the year. We did so electronically and remotely, and we achieved consensus. There were no applications for the Clinical Research Fellowship this last year, but there were 4 applications for the AFPE First Year Graduate Fellowship. There was good consensus, and we awarded and chose Alexia Carr, first-year student at the University of Texas at Austin. That's our report. Thank you.
I call Andy Smith, President-elect, to give the report of the Chapter Awards Committee.
Thank you, Dr. Valino. Hello, everyone. I am Andy Smith, the chair of the Awards Committee. I'm pleased to share our committee's report. The Awards Committee has 3 charges: selecting the winners of the project proposals, both summer and spring, and selecting the winners of the Chapter Achievement and Most Improved Chapter Awards. This report will discuss our process because I'm saving the most exciting part, the winners, for the awards section of the meeting. Before I talk about the awards, I want to acknowledge the committee. The award committee is made up of the 11 regional counselors. Region 1, Sarah Grossman. Region 2, Thomas Franco. Region 3E, Riley Bowers. Region 3W, Kelly Covert. Region 3S, Courtney Watts Alexander. Region 4E, Lynette Moser. Region 4W, Stephen Scott. Region 5, Linda Sebeski. Region 6, Brooke Gildon. Region 7, Angela Stewart. And Region 8, Jennifer Trillo. The counselors work throughout the year evaluating these various awards. We sure do keep them busy. The chapter project proposals are accepted twice a year, in the summer and the spring. This year, we had 5 proposals in the summer and 7 in the spring. The committee ranks these proposals, and the 2 highest ranked proposals win the award. The winners of the project proposals will be recognized during the award segment of the meeting. The chapter achievement and most improved chapter awards are based on annual reports submitted in the spring. There are 2 deadlines for chapter reports. The June 15th is the deadline to keep your chapter active, but May 15th is the deadline to submit to be considered for awards. This year, 125 of 136 active chapters submitted reports. However, only 41 chapters were eligible for the Chapter Achievement Award. Those excluded were mainly due to not having the report submitted by May 15th or potentially not having attended the annual convention recently. 16 chapters indicated they wanted to be considered for most improved. However, only 9 chapters were eligible. The chapter report review began in August of 2023. In October, we identified the top 10 finalists for the chapter achievement and most improved chapters. The final reviews were completed by November 2023. The top 10 finalists and the winners of both the Chapter Achievement and Most Improved Chapter Awards will be named in the awards section of the meeting. Thank you. End of report.
RHO members, you have now heard the reports of the committees submitted and accepted by the RHO Executive Council on March 4th, 2024. These reports will be entered into our National Convention minutes and are available to view on our website, rhokai.org, under the Meetings tab. I will now read the result of the 2024 RHO Society elections. The following candidates will pledge their service to the RHO Executive Council for a 2-year term. Amanda Stanke has been elected as National President-elect. John P. Bentley has been elected as National Treasurer. Daniel J. Canny has been elected to serve as Regional Counselor for Region 2. Melanie P. Puglisi-Wienin has been elected to serve as Regional Counselor for Region 4 West. Bradley E. Hine has been elected to serve as Regional Counselor for Region 4 East. Beth H. Resman-Targoff has been elected to serve as Regional Counselor for Region 6. Paul J. Wong has been elected to serve as Regional Counselor for Region 8. Our new Executive Council members will now take their oath. Welcome to our 7 new members of the Executive Council. I will now recite the officer's oath and ask each member to individually respond with your promise to serve the Society when your name is called. So the oath is, I promise to uphold the bylaws of the RHO Society and to the best of my ability will pursue both its mission and vision. With both honor and enthusiasm, I accept and will faithfully execute the responsibilities of the office to which I am elected. Amanda Stanke, National President-elect.
I, Amanda Stanke, promise to faithfully serve as National President-elect for the RHO Society.
John P. Bentley, National Treasurer.
I, John Bentley, promise to faithfully serve as National Treasurer for the RHO Society.
Region 2 Counselor, Daniel J. Canny.
I, Daniel J. Canny, promise to faithfully serve as Region 2 Counselor for the RHO Society.
Region 4 East Counselor, Bradley E. Hine.
I, Bradley E. Hine, promise to faithfully serve as Region 4 East Counselor for the RHO Society.
Region 4 West Counselor, Melanie P. Puglisi-Weenie.
I, Melanie P. Puglisi-Winning, promise to faithfully serve as Region 4 West Counselor for the Rokai Society.
Region 6 Counselor, Beth H. Resman-Targoff.
I, Beth H. Resman-Targoff, promise to faithfully serve as Region 6 Counselor for the Rokai Society.
Region 8 Counselor, Paul J. Wong.
I, Paul J. Wong, promise to faithfully serve as Region 8 Counselor for the Rokai Society.
On behalf of the members of the Rokai Society, I hereby install each one of you to the respective office to which you've been elected. Congratulations. Congratulations to our new Executive Council of 2024. Our chapter delegates voted on one new chapter petition received by the national office. The following school has been approved by our Rokai Society membership. I would like to welcome Pacific University into our Rokai membership. Congratulations. This concludes our 2024 House of Delegates meeting for the Rokai Society. We will now begin our awards program. Please welcome our historian, Cynthia Phillips, who will introduce our 2024 Lecture Award recipient.
My name is Dr. Cynthia Phillips, National Historian for the Rokai Society. I would like to welcome you to the 2024 Rokai Lecture Award. The Rokai Lecture Award seeks to encourage and recognize outstanding achievement by distinguished scholars who have made significant contributions to the health professions. It is a great honor for me to introduce this year's recipient, Dr. Sean Sullivan. Dr. Sullivan is an esteemed educator, prolific author, and respected intellectual leader. He demonstrates a lifelong commitment to the advancement of pharmacy through his pursuit of health economics, outcomes research, and work in formulary management. Dr. Sullivan is a professor at the University of Washington in the School of Pharmacy and visiting professor at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Additionally, he holds appointments at the School of Public Health and the School of Medicine at the University of Washington. He was Dean of the University of Washington School of Pharmacy from 2014 to 2022. He received a Bachelor of Science of Pharmacy from Oregon State University, a Master of Science in Administrative and Economic Sciences from the University of Texas at Austin, and a Doctor of Philosophy in Health Economics and Policy at the University of California, Berkeley. Nominator Dr. Gary DeLander, past National President of Rokai and Emeritus Executive Associate Dean at Oregon State University College of Pharmacy, remarks, "Professional education relies upon a bulwark of disciplinary expertise and scholarship. This is clearly displayed in Dr. Sullivan's success and commitment as an educator. Dr. Sullivan has authored more than 450 articles, book chapters, and reports. His research interests include health technology assessment, medical decision-making, and economic evaluation of medical technology. Dr. Sullivan developed the Academy of Managed Care Pharmacy format for formulary submissions, which is the United States evidence-based guidelines for formulary decision-making. He is the past president of the International Society for Pharmacoeconomics and Outcomes Research and past chair of the Academy of Managed Care Pharmacy Executive Committee of the format for formulary submissions. Dr. Sullivan was a member of the Medicare Evidence Development and Coverage Advisory Committee. He served as chair of the Regents Blue Shield and Premera Blue Cross P&T Committee. Dr. Sullivan was awarded the 2014 Stephen G. Avey Lifetime Achievement Award from the Academy of Managed Care Pharmacy and the 2015 American of Pharmacists Association Academy of Pharmaceutical Research Sciences Research Achievement Award. One of his nominators, Dr. John Graberstein, president of Vaccine Dynamics, highlighted that Dr. Sullivan is one of the few pharmacists to have been elected to the National Academy of Medicine for his pivotal role in pioneering U.S. guidelines for evidence-based formulary development. In 2022, he was elected Fellow, American Association for the Advancement of Science. Dr. Andy Sturgachis, Professor of Pharmacy and Global Health at the University of Washington, states that Dr. Sullivan has a profound impact on producing leaders in the field of health economics and outcomes research, training a generation of individuals who have had an impact on the field. It is evident that Dr. Sullivan, a RHO alumni, is a scholar who instills the desire to pursue intellectual excellence and critical inquiry to advance the profession. Please join me in welcoming our 2024 RHO Lecture Award recipient, Dr. Sean Sullivan, as he presents Decoding Deception: How Pharmacists Can Confront Pervasive Scientific and Health Misinformation.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Sullivan, and I am Professor of Pharmacy and Public Health at the University of Washington in Seattle. I'm very grateful to having been selected to deliver the 2024 RHO Lecture Award. My students at the university nominated me, and for that, I'm very appreciative. By way of introduction, I trained in pharmacy at Oregon State University and then completed my master's degree in pharmaceutical economics at the University of Texas in Austin. And then I went on to complete my PhD in health economics and policy at the University of California, Berkeley. Since 1984, I've dedicated my career and my research to helping improve access to pharmaceuticals and to training and mentoring the next generation of pharmacists and pharmaceutical scientists. The RHO Lectureship is an opportunity for the awardee to address a topic of interest to RHO members and to the pharmacy profession writ large. Today, I would like to discuss a topic, scientific and health misinformation, that is a growing crisis, insidiously infecting the public's fundamental belief in science and in the value of healthcare. Misinformation poisons minds, and it stands in the way of our collective commitment to improving the health of our patients and of the communities that we serve. Importantly, I want to talk with you about how scientific and health misinformation is created, how it grows, how it infects minds, and specifically what you might be able to do to counter misinformation when faced with the opportunity to do so. Let's first start with an example. Consider these three commonly disseminated COVID-related scientific and medical controversies. Which of these three statements do you believe is true? A, B, C? Let's go through them. A, mRNA vaccines for COVID increase the risk of acquiring COVID in the first 2 weeks after immunization. B, ivermectin, which is an FDA-approved antiparasitic drug, is safe and effective at treating COVID symptoms and preventing hospitalization and death. And then C, the wearing of masks eliminates the risk of person-to-person COVID and respiratory viral transmission. Before revealing the answer, though, let's learn something about brain science. The human brain can be easily fooled. You all know this, of course, but let me give you an example of how easily fooled the brain is. 6 headlines, very similar to the 3 I'm showing you here, were shown to 1,500 randomly selected people as part of a brain science research study. 3 of the 6 headlines were false and 3 were factual. When they were asked, about 50% of the participants said that they could totally feel confident that they knew the right answer to all 6. Yet, when the data were collected and analyzed, only 4% correctly identified the 6 headlines as either false or factual. The reality is that the human brain is not the ultimate fact checker. So, why is having valid science and valid health information important? Well, first, science positively influences cultural and social aspects of society. It inspires curiosity, it encourages exploration, and it broadens our understanding of nearly everything. I'm sure several of these reasons motivated you all to choose the profession of pharmacy. The application of scientific knowledge helps satisfy many basic human needs and certainly improves living standards. Finding a cure for cancer or discovering a clean form of energy are just two excellent examples of ongoing science. Similarly, science is a key driver of economic growth and prosperity. Many scientific discoveries have been revolutionary, and they've contributed to our collective economic productivity and prosperity. Electricity, the combustion engine, penicillin. Where would we be without antibiotics, for example? The cell phone that you might be holding in your hand or sitting next to you, 3D printing, and most recently, CRISPR gene editing technology, just to name but a few. Each of these discoveries has, or it will, dramatically change our society, and it'll provide economic growth and increase human prosperity. Science also contributes to population level education. More and better education of our citizens about the value of science enables informed debate, and it also enables better decision making about the fair and the sustainable application of new technologies. Think about new medicines, for example, or new vaccines, all of which help address large problems to our society, such as climate change, hunger and food insecurity, global pandemics, and social inequality. We all, I believe, recognize that science, and importantly, the accurate communication of science, is important. We also recognize, I hope, that science has meaningful social benefits. However, not all believe that science is helpful or useful. Some actively wish to discredit scientific advances and the very scientists and health professionals that discover and then apply these important innovations. So, how does health misinformation start? And then how does it spread? Well, as you might guess, it starts small, just one individual, and then it grows through social media amplification, pseudoscientific websites, and biased and uninformed reporting. Now, on the slide here, you see the Disinformation Dozen. These are 12 individuals from around the United States that produce 65% of all anti-vax information on social media platforms and websites. These individuals, they're well known to researchers and they're well known to the social networks that host their content. They include anti-vaccine activists, alternative health entrepreneurs, and even physicians. And one of them on this list is running for president of the United States. Some of these people run multiple accounts across different platforms, and they often promote natural health, or natural immunity, and some of them even sell their own supplements and books. In other words, they create a market for misinformation. How do they achieve such success? Well, they take advantage of one of the factors that really promotes misinformation, and that is the simple fallacy called do your own research. A study conducted by two University of Wisconsin and University of Michigan researchers suggested that the promotion of DYOR by online misinformation and conspiracy theorists, rather than relying on evidence-based information from credible scientists, may reflect this growing anti-expert attitude that's in the general public. It's not like all believers of DYOR reject doctors and medical expertise, although some do, but they believe their opinion can be equally valid if they, quote, do their own research. Well, look, many of you have done your own research in your school or work lives. It's part of our business, if you will. It's part of what we do. And you know the challenge of doing that, the effort that it takes, and then the critical thinking that's required to find the body of research, to appraise it in a critical fashion, and then to draw valid conclusions from that. Many misinformation and scientific conspiracy activists promote the DYOR philosophy. They actually encourage people to DYOR. And then they direct the unsuspecting public to their websites, where they have curated their own, often biased, research on a specific topic. The public sees that and then amplifies these sources of information using their own social networks. And from there, it grows. Let's return now to the three topics that I shared with you earlier, these scientific controversies. Can you spot the fake news? Well, let me start by telling you that I tricked you, because all three are in fact not factual. So let me take you through them one at a time and show you how that information is created and spread. Well, let's start with the mRNA vaccine. Point of fact, mRNA vaccine platforms have been around for 20 years. We have been experimenting with mRNA platforms to try to create an effective HIV vaccine and have not yet been successful. When COVID entered, we happened to have the mRNA platform and applied this platform to try to create a COVID vaccine. And guess what? It worked. So the mRNA platform is not new. It's been around for a while. And now we have an evidence base for the efficacy and safety of the mRNA COVID vaccines, which is amongst the largest evidence base ever assembled for any medical intervention. There are literally hundreds of millions of individuals who have been exposed to these vaccines. And it is really clear now from the accumulated science of immunology and pharmacology that the vaccine and the vaccination process itself does not increase the risk of acquiring COVID. It does, however, take 7 to 10 days after the vaccination before full COVID immunity is achieved. Now, one of the sources of the misinformation that I showed you in that first untruth statement was a nurse who had been exposed to COVID just prior to being vaccinated, early during the availability of the COVID vaccines. The timing of her symptoms and the receipt of her vaccine were such that she attributed her COVID infection to the receipt of the vaccine. She believed, therefore, that the vaccine actually caused the infection, when in fact, she had been exposed to COVID prior to her vaccination. She confused causation with association, and she spread this information across multiple social media platforms. Of course, the anti-vaccine advocates, including many in the Disinformation 12, picked up on her posts and amplified them themselves with headlines like, "Health professionals confirm that COVID vaccines cause COVID." Now, number two, before we had effective antibodies and antivirals like Paxlovid, ivermectin was widely touted as safe and effective in the treatment for COVID symptoms. The role of ivermectin was at the time an important and unanswered scientific question. Imagine if we had a treatment available that was as inexpensive as ivermectin and we could make it available. We simply didn't know whether it worked or didn't work. And without any evidence, President Trump endorsed through speeches and many, many Twitter posts the use of ivermectin and the use of other unproven therapies. He used his celebrity and his position of power to drive a massive increase in the use of ivermectin and, sadly, also in the sale of chlorine, when he endorsed injecting chlorine as a way of killing the virus. We now know, though, going back to ivermectin here, that ivermectin is not effective at all. There was a study first published in February 2021, small one in the Lancet. But since that time now, JAMA and the Cochrane collaboration have each published a body of science that confirms what we knew from that early study, that ivermectin is not effective. Even today, though, with the scientific question largely resolved, there remain people and organizations that still believe and spread misinformation about the effectiveness of ivermectin and other unproven therapies. Now, let's turn to the wearing of masks, whether mandatory or voluntary. This has been highly controversial, as I believe many of you know. Studies prior to the pandemic about wearing masks produced mixed statistical results on the effectiveness of masks against respiratory viruses. And this, of course, led to confusion that may have contributed to organizations such as the WHO and the CDC, which initially did not recommend that the general public wear masks during the pandemic. Well, of course, the misinformation crowd picked up on this confusion and advocated, sometimes very strongly, to not wear masks, and advocated and made statements that masks were not effective. Well, what do we know now? We know now with certainty that mask wearing does reduce the risk of viral transmission, but it does not completely eliminate the risk. It all depends on the mask, the fit of the mask, how many people are in the room or the space, and how many of them are also wearing masks. See, even scientists and the public can confuse risk reduction, which is exactly what masks do. They dramatically reduce the risk, but they don't eliminate the risk. And this is an important distinction that the general public struggles with. So how does the public recognize misinformation, right? Let's start there. So it's important to recognize that humans are prone, all of us are prone to confirmation bias, which is the tendency of people to favor information that confirms or strengthens our pre-existing beliefs or values. This bias is difficult to dislodge once it's been affirmed. Misinformation messages stick. They stick especially when they confirm a preconceived bias that people already have. Number two, the scientific and health literacy of the general public is low, but there are some surprising bits of information about public literacy, and let me tell you about them. The public generally doesn't understand concepts that I've talked about so far today, like risk, probability, odds, causation. Yet this is how we in the medical and scientific community, we speak to each other. I mean, you heard me using some of these terms, writing some of these terms here as I'm talking to you today. But it's also how we in the scientific community speak to the public. And the public generally doesn't understand these terms. In 2019, before the pandemic, the Pew Research Center released some important work on the overall scientific literacy of the US population. And here's what they said. First, Americans with more education score higher on scientific literacy. Seems to make sense, yeah? Second, that Republicans and Democrats hold similar levels of scientific knowledge. In other words, your political affiliation doesn't matter. And third, that about 2/3 of the American public understands the scientific concept that science is iterative, meaning that replication and iteration of research is important to ultimately arrive at a conclusion, at a truth. So to summarize this in short, science knowledge is directly tied to education and not to political affiliation, not to gender, not to race at all. It's tied to education level. So how can we recognize misinformation? First, fact checking. Well, with the internet, you'd think, wow, I've got an easy tool right at my hands here to fact check information. But frankly, with the volume and variability of information that's available, fact checking is growing more and more challenging. And AI will make this worse. But there is one source, and I put the website up here on the slide for you, and that's factcheck.org. It's a public service website from the Annenberg Center at the University of Pennsylvania. I encourage you to check it out after this presentation, or I guess after the meeting. Second, evaluating the credibility of the sources. So see what others say about the people, the organization, the publisher of the information. Check the other stories and headlines on the website or at the source of the information to see if it all seems credible. Do all the stories lead back to the same common source? And if so, that's a reason to be suspicious. Third, peer review and confirmation, the foundation of science. So important, and so important to recognize that the public generally doesn't understand the value of peer review and confirmation. In fact, there's the fallacy that a single study is definitive. I saw it, I saw the conclusion, and therefore it's confirming my bias, and therefore I believe it, post it, amplify it, right? Research takes time. Science requires confirmation. And finally, the importance of critical thinking. Pulitzer Prize-winning author and distinguished astronomer Carl Sagan argues that scientific thinking is critical, not only to the pursuit of truth, but to the very well-being of our democratic institutions. He said, and I quote, "How can we make intelligent decisions about our increasingly technology-driven lives if we don't understand the difference between the myths of pseudoscience and the testable hypotheses of real science?" So what I'd like to do now is finish with a comment on the future of truth, and then some suggestions for how to address and combat scientific and health misinformation. On the future of truth, I'm worried. I'm worried about the looming dangers of deepfakes and other online deceptions and impersonations. This is real, it's happening now, and it's scary. Deepfakes use artificial intelligence and deep learning methods to create highly realistic but fake content, including videos. Do a quick Google search for deepfakes. Check out some of the videos that are available online. You'd be surprised if you haven't already. Often these videos look highly convincing, and to the unsuspecting public and the uneducated public, they can be convincing. ChatGPT and other AI tools are making deepfakes more prevalent and realistic, and they will make it harder in the future to tell the truth from fiction. So, how will we ultimately address this? Research shows that people become more resistant to persuasion when they perceive an intent is being made to manipulate them. And then, if they can recognize their own vulnerability to being persuaded. The suggestions that I'm going to share with you now may help people make more informed and therefore less prone to being manipulated. So one, provide facts. And these facts can inoculate people against future specific falsehoods or lies. Let me give you an example. So tell your patients ahead of time, just as either before or as you're giving them their vaccine, whether it's flu, RSV, COVID, pneumococcal, doesn't matter. Tell them that they very well might experience a transient sore arm. They might have mild fever. And in fact, that's not a side effect of the vaccine. It is, in fact, an indication that the vaccine is working. It's eliciting a very successful and powerful immune response. But those patients who don't experience those symptoms shouldn't worry either. The simple approach of providing an explanation ahead of time, ahead of an exposure to something like a vaccine, will inoculate against a persuasive message from the internet that suggests that these vaccines cause a disease. Myths and truths are also often presented by pseudo-experts who claim to have specific degrees or training and experience in a specific scientific or health area. These, quote, experts claim to know the truth, and more importantly, they will tell you that there are nefarious people or groups working in secret to try to dupe you from learning the truth. Certainly people dislike being manipulated, especially those who pride themselves on being independent thinkers. But the overt manipulation is harder to spot when the myths and the untruths are perpetuated by real, credentialed scientists and health professionals. So the role of scientists and health professionals to communicate clearly, using language that can be understood by the general public, is so very important. I return to the example of the nurse who contracted COVID shortly after receiving her vaccine. This circumstance likely occurred not just once with her, but many times across the US during the various waves of COVID infection. All it took was for a few of these individuals to read social media posts from others with a similar experience to, quote, confirm the truth. And then it spread. There'll be new challenges and scientific controversies beyond our current COVID pandemic. The evidence base for many scientific and medical questions will likely never be fully settled because we learn new things every day. We learn about the biology of humans, we learn more about pharmacology and mechanisms of action, and there are many, many studies ongoing that will help us better understand benefits and safety of the treatments we currently use with our patients and that are coming in the near future. Our role as pharmacists is not to just be the trusted advisor to the public, but to be an unbiased producer, consumer, and ultimately communicator of scientific and medical truths. We should strive to resist the temptation, though, to succumb to misinformation fatigue and always stay vigilant. So to conclude, the real consequence, the true consequence of the growing prevalence of misinformation is that it erodes public trust and it can influence public policy decisions. But in some cases, misinformation can be deadly, and it was so during the pandemic. A research study reported in JAMA suggested that about a third of the more than 1.1 million reported COVID deaths in the United States as of January 1st, 2023, were considered preventable if scientific and medical recommendations such as vaccinations, masking, and physical distancing had been followed. And then this study I'm showing you here, which is very recently reported, and really makes me ask the question, why is it that after all we know, all that we have available to us to prevent and treat COVID, are we still experiencing on average 1,500 COVID-related deaths per week? With all of this, I hope you appreciate that we are not defenseless against the forces of scientific misinformation, and that we have a real opportunity to combat deception for the good of our patients and for the communities that we serve. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you all a successful RHO meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan, for the lecture award presentation. We appreciate your comprehensive and thoughtful insight into a topic which is extremely relevant to all of us, regardless of our practice areas. Now I would like to invite Alexa Carlson, the 2024 Faculty Advisor Committee Chair, to give the Faculty Advisor Committee report and announce the winner of the 2024 Faculty Advisor Award.
Thank you, Dr. Bellino. Hello, I'm Alexa Carlson, the Chair of the Faculty Advisor Award Committee and advisor to the Beta Tau chapter at Northeastern University. This year, we had 2 outstanding nominations for this award. I would like to take a moment to thank my fellow committee members and past award recipients, Dr. Kathy Worrell from Medical University of South Carolina and Dr. Susan Skladar from University of Pittsburgh. After careful consideration of all the nomination materials received, I am happy to announce that the recipient of the RHO Society Faculty Advisor Award goes to Dr. Daniel Canny of the Beta Lambda chapter at Temple University. Congratulations, Dr. Canny.
We will now recognize several individuals for our Alumni Honor Roll, Advisor Years of Service, and outgoing Executive Council members. Chapters choose to honor their outstanding alumni, and it is the Society's pleasure to recognize them as members of the Alumni Honor Roll. Each name will be added to the Society's website, and they will receive recognition through their nominating chapter. Please congratulate Wilma J. Wilbanks, Vincent C. Dennis, Betty Dennis, Amber Hutchison, Sandra Smith Garner, Andrew Smith, Tate N. Trujillo, Neela A. Bajandas, and Jenna Stewart. Join me in congratulating 3 chapters celebrating 75 years: Alpha Kappa at the University of Georgia, Alpha Mu at the West Virginia University, and Alpha Xi at the University of Kentucky. Congratulations. Happy retirement to Dr. Bradley A. Boucher. He has served as the RHO National Treasurer, National President, Region 3 Counselor, and as a chapter advisor. He is an inspiration to so many. On a personal note, Dr. Boucher was pivotal to my continued involvement and success within the Society. I'll never forget and I'll always appreciate the moment he asked me to take the lead in reviewing the national bylaws for alternative eligibility criteria. I never knew bylaws could be so exciting. Well, with that was the beginning of a memorable and incredible journey in leadership within RHO. I've learned so much from him and sought his guidance on more occasions than I can count. For that, I am forever grateful. Brad, you are a mentor, scholar, and true friend. Your impact on and legacy within RHO will live for generations to come. We will truly miss you, and we wish you the very best in your retirement. Thank you to all the faculty advisors listed for their years of service and dedication to the Society and its mission. We appreciate your support and commitment to the RHO Society. A special thank you to Stephanie Enns from the Alpha Phi chapter at Butler University and Lynette Moser from the Alpha Chi chapter at Wayne State University for 20 years of dedication as chapter advisors. I would like to express the appreciation of the Society and its members to those Executive Council members whose service concludes at this meeting. A very special thank you to Andrew J. Smith, who has served as National President-elect for 2 years. Bradley A. Boucher, who has served 3 years as National Treasurer. Thomas Franco, who served 2 terms, 4 years as Region 2 Counselor. Stephen Scott, who served 2 terms, 4 years as Region 4 West Counselor. Lynette Moser, who served 2 terms, 4 years as Region 4 East Counselor. Brooke Gildon, who served 2 years as Region 6 Counselor. Jennifer Trujillo, who served 2 terms, 4 years as Region 8 Counselor. And our student representatives, Kelly Gable from Alpha Theta chapter at the University of Colorado, and Sophie Way from Alpha Eta chapter at Rutgers University. Thank you all for your service to the RHO Society. Now I would like to invite Andy Smith, our President-elect and Chair of the Chapter Awards Committee, to announce our RHO Chapter Awards.
Thank you, Dr. Bellino. Hello, everybody. I'm back as Chair of the Awards Committee. I will now announce the winners of the project proposals and the chapter awards. Our chapter project proposals are awarded to the chapters for their submissions that are consistent with the mission and vision of RHO. Chapters receive a $500 award and a certificate for successful submissions. The spring 2024 recipients are Epsilon Rho Chapter, Chapman University, Pharmacy on the Move, Elevating Healthcare Literacy Through Social Media, Gamma Sigma Chapter, Western University of the Health Sciences, Student Pharmacist Knowledge and Preparedness in Recognizing and Addressing Social Determinants of Health after Student-Led Educational Program. The summer 2023 recipients are the Alpha Iota Chapter, Medical University of South Carolina, the Impact of Pharmacy Student Participation in Medical Therapy Management on Overall Performance and Confidence Levels, Alpha Xi Chapter, University of Kentucky, Health Fair Haircuts, Improving Patient Health Literacy One Haircut at a Time. Congratulations to all 4 chapters on winning project proposals. The RHO Most Improved Chapter Award is awarded to a chapter that has made great strides to increase activity and projects of the chapter. The chapter is awarded a $500 check and is invited to serve on the Executive Council for 1 year. Our 2022-2023 Most Improved Chapter finalists are the Alpha Eta Chapter at Rutgers University, the Alpha Iota Chapter at Medical University of South Carolina, the Alpha Xi Chapter at University of Kentucky, the Beta Theta Chapter at Long Island University, the Delta Eta Chapter at University of the Incarnate Word, Epsilon Mu Chapter at Cedarville University, the Epsilon Rho Chapter at Chapman University, the Gamma Lambda Chapter at Wilkes University, and the Kappa Chapter at North Dakota State University. Drum roll, please. The recipient of the 2022-2023 Most Improved Chapter Award is the Beta Theta Chapter at Long Island University. Congratulations. The RHO Chapter Achievement Award is based on activities and accomplishments reported by chapters for the preceding year, in this case 2022-2023, and their relationship to the mission of the RHO Society. Chapter reports also include a description of how the chapter's activities add value to the local members' RHO experience. The winning chapter will receive a $500 check from the national office, and a representative from the chapter is invited to serve on the Executive Council for 1 year. Our 2022-2023 Top 10 Chapter Achievement finalists are Alpha Eta, Rutgers University, Alpha Iota, Medical University of South Carolina, Beta Delta, St. John's University, Beta Theta, Long Island University, Chi, University of Mississippi, Delta Eta, University of Incarnate Word, Epsilon Mu, Cedarville University, Epsilon Rho, Chapman University, Gamma Lambda, Wilkes University, and the Kappa, North Dakota State University. And now the recipient of the 2022-2023 RHO Chapter Achievement Award is, drumroll please, the Alpha Iota Chapter from the Medical University of South Carolina. Congratulations. Wow, congratulations to all the chapters for your outstanding efforts in executing RHO's mission in your chapter activities. The RHO Society Chapter Awards Committee looks forward to reviewing this year's annual reports and determine next year's winners.
Farewell and thank you to Brad and Emmanuel for their years of service. Andy, welcome to the beginning of your term as president.
Thanks, Lucio, and thank you for your work over the last 2 years. I want to start by thanking Emmanuel Schwartzman for her efforts over the last 6 years in the presidential office. She led the society through a pandemic, a national office change. She's increased engagements through the town hall. RHO will forever be better thanks to your leadership. I'm excited to begin my term as president, mostly because we have a great leadership team in place. Since last summer, the Executive Council has been working on a brand new strategic plan. I'm looking forward to rolling this out over my tenure. A small preview is expanding the work regarding the Society's definition of intellectual leadership and an increased effort to engage key stakeholders, including current students, alumni, and faculty advisors. Thank you for attending our 100th annual meeting of the RHO Society. I hope to see some of you at the social event during the APHA meeting next Sunday. Please join our social media groups and share your chapter activities and photos and tag us with #RHO for life. The meeting is now adjourned.